Welcome to part number 2 of my course. I'm sitting at my desk right now. I just painted a little bit and I'm just waiting for this to dry, and I figured I might as well just record the next module or part of the next module. And this is going to be about removing blocks. It's going to be about clearing the channel and psychic protection. First, we're going to be talking about canceling religious and cultural conditioning. I know many of you grew up with certain cultural things that you were like made to believe growing up, stuff that you taught from school, from your parents, from just your culture that you grew up in. And that stuff is somewhere in your brain. It's saved as this file of cultural conditioning or religious conditioning. And even though you may have had a spiritual awakening, it may still be archived somewhere in your brain, and subconsciously, because this is at a very subconscious level, you are still being influenced by this. And I know that I was still influenced by this for a long time. And we will also go and look at past life blocks, but that is for the next little video. Right now, we're going to be talking about religious blocks and cultural blocks, and you may not think of yourself specifically as a religious person, but because you are growing up in a culture that is predominantly, I don't know, Christian, like Catholic or whatever, it doesn't matter, or the family that you grew up in is predominantly, I don't know, religious in one way or another, it's going to influence you, because anything before the age of 7 leaves a very big impact on you. So if you were exposed to certain religious habits, beliefs, cultural things before the age of 7, it's going to leave an impact on you, and it's going to influence your own spiritual journey, whether you want to or not. It's going to have some sort of an influence on you. And a lot of the time we have this subconscious fear of thinking that something will happen to us if we are open about our spirituality. We fear being ridiculed, we fear being mocked, and sometimes it's this irrational fear, and you get nervous when you try to talk about this spiritual awakening that you are going through, and it doesn't really make sense because you think, what's the worst thing that could happen to you? The worst thing that could happen is that people don't agree with you, and is that really that bad? No, then those are just people then that you know that you probably aren't going to hang out with that much anymore in the future. And I'm sure that if you're watching this, you're going through this awakening, you are wanting to develop your intuitive abilities, you will find that a lot of the time you're not getting along with the same people anymore in the way that you used to. Like your friends, you're not really clicking with them anymore, or you feel like that you don't really have anything to talk about anymore. And sometimes people will disappear out of your life. They will make room for different people to come into your life. But sometimes you also want to talk about who you are. You want to be true to who you are. That is very important in this spiritual journey, that you are true to yourself. You are a lighthouse of light from source energy, and activating this telephone line to source means that you will radiate that out into the world, that you are activating your connection to source, to God, to creator, and that you are in active communication with your source. And even people that aren't spiritual, or your culture, or people of your family members, friends, they are going to notice a difference about you once you start opening up spiritually. They won't be able to quite put their finger on it. They won't quite be able to like say what it is that they notice that's different about you, but they will notice that something is different. and you may end up in conversations about spirituality. And it is important to remember that you are a sovereign being of light. This is a good mantra to repeat every day. I am a sovereign being of light. You can say this all the time. I am a sovereign being of light. And you can also repeat, there is nothing to fear, especially not in this lifetime of ascension. I am a sovereign being of light with nothing to fear in this lifetime of ascension. Another thing that happens a lot is that you don't feel good enough or worthy enough. Because that's like an old idea that a lot of people have, that if you are psychic or intuitive, it means you are special or some kind of a chosen person. You are higher or better than somebody else because you have these abilities. When actually, back in ancient times of Atlantis, Lemuria, in all these mystery schools, these temples, children were taught from an early age how to develop their intuitive abilities. Just like how now they go to school, they learn how to write, they learn math, they learn spelling, they learn all this stuff, but they would also learn how to quiet the mind, how to go within, how to listen to the voice of their higher self. This was just basic knowledge taught in they weren't schools, they were mystery schools, they were temples, places where you could go and educate yourself, where people would send their children to be educated because it was just as important to develop the intuition as it was to develop the logical mind. So everyone had the ability to be psychic, everyone had the ability to communicate with spirit, with source, with their higher self. So now we lost over the years, over the centuries, we've lost this ability. And some people naturally still carry this ability within them because it's been passed down through the bloodline. And then you have these stories of certain people saying that they are a witch and it's been passed down through their family. There is nothing special about these people, because the thing is that we can all develop these abilities. I had the advantage that I was raised by a spiritual mother that was channeling. So I guess I was exposed to it a little more than other people, and that's the only reason why I am so good at what I do, because I have been training this for a very long time. And I'm sure that any of you watching can do exactly what I do. I am never going to say that I know more than you, I am better at this than you, I am more gifted than you. I don't believe that at all. You can develop everything that I can do exactly the same way. And that is why I want you to hear that you are a sovereign being of light. You carry within you these abilities, and they just have to be activated. It just has to become an active telephone line to source. That's all that needs to happen. And it's just blocks and limitations and the idea that you're not worthy that may be keeping you, or thinking that you're not good enough, thinking you're not special. It's just all in your head. These things, you can just throw them out the window, because you can do exactly what I do. It just takes dedication, practice, make it into a habit. Like I said before, it has to become a habit of practicing it every day and trusting what comes through, trusting and just getting used to the feeling of being intuitive, what it feels like, because we have been used to using the logical brain for, I don't know how old you are, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. You've been using this one brain, this one side of the brain predominantly throughout your whole life, and you're not familiar with the feeling of being clairsentient, of being empathic, of feeling information come through from source energy. So once you get to know that feeling, it's going to be easier and easier and easier. And another religious block that a lot of us carry in the back of our minds is that we need a middleman to talk to God. to source, to the universe, whatever, to this energy source that we cannot see, that we need a priest, a rabbi, whatever, another person that holds the authority to talk on our behalf to our creator. And that is just not true. That is just not true. We can do this because we are all source energy. And I am no better than you. This priest is no better than me. We can all talk to our creator. So that is a big block that a lot of us carry. And there is, of course, the fact that we live in a world that values evidence over intuitive knowing. There's this evidence, and this world needs to see its evidence, otherwise it's not true. But the thing is, we are going from a third dimensional world to a fifth dimensional world, and what happens when you are intuitive is that you can go in between both. You can go back and forth between both, and it is not because 100 people cannot see this thing that you are seeing in 5D that there aren't 10 people that are seeing what you are seeing. There's apparently only 2% of the entire world population that is intuitive to the point where they can perceive beyond the veil. And it is not because 98% isn't able to see, perceive, hear all these other dimensions that the 2% is not valid, that their experiences are not valid, because they are the minority. And that is why, for our personal sakes, if we want to trust our intuition, you have to completely release this need for evidence. Because the thing is, you cannot explain synchronicities, you cannot explain coincidences that keep on happening on a spiritual level. If you have some of these examples, let me know. Talk to me about it. If you have doubts about certain things, talk to me about it. I would love to confirm for you that you are on the right track, that your intuition is worth listening to, and that these things for you have meaning, and that they are confirmation, that they are your evidence. You don't need to have certain physical evidence to know that something is true for you. And a very big one is to stop caring about people's opinion about you, because not everyone is going to like what you have to say or what you believe, and you're also not here to convince other people. Everyone is on their own journey, and you are on this journey to activate your telephone line to source, and you don't have to, these other people don't have to do what you do. Because the thing is, as long as you are confident, as long as you know that this is your path and that you do not need other people's approval, as long as you know that what you are doing is valuable to you and your journey and your growth and your spirit and your connection to God, you are a child of Mother, Father, God. And I don't mean God in Christian sense, I mean God as the creator. Because the thing is, once that you are fully accepting yourself, removing blocks from cultural conditioning, from religious conditioning, then you will be able to attract those that resonate with you anyway.